coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh, yes it will.
And so now we are on day number 28, whereby still no word as to what happened to little Romello Parker. No one is sane. As far as we know at this point, it's still being investigated by the Biloxi PD. It's consecrated ground there on I-10 in Biloxi. You know, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So says one Martin Luther King Jr. Now, we could say that over and over as some little platitude, or we can hold what he says critically tangible. Justice, ladies and gentlemen, is something that is done. It's not just something that is believed. You can't just put a dollar figure on it and say, okay, well, I got paid $27 million, I've got justice. Some of you might go for that, I don't. Justice is consequences, and I shared this for you before. Justice, in other words, when such something happens to you, then something else happens to the person that it did, whatever. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, is all about justice. It's all about recompense. It's all about consequences. It is mankind's way of having some moral order. You know, you take an eye, then one of your eyes got to be taken. It is pardon this, my Jewish friends, but it's actually utilizing. I don't know why I'm getting such feedback here, bro. Need to find out what's happening here on this. Sorry about that, folks. Let's see if we can change that. Let's see. It is our effort to arrive at some equity among people. I don't doubt early man did it. Now, I'm not going to give a big history lesson on this because I've got some very, very revealing information that you won't hear anywhere else, as usual, that you need to hear. But I'm setting this up so that you'll understand that it's all about justice here. Be it with little 4-month-old LaMelo, or be it what happened 100 years ago in Tulsa, in Greenwood. It's about justice. It's about consequences. It's about, well, no, there something happened. There's the truth. It's not just what we believe. And the truth is developed by evidence. And there's plenty of evidence around LaMelo. And there's a whole lot of evidence around what happened there in Tulsa. Oh, video evidence of both. There were real people who were there. They are on record, at least by way of radio and film. The records of those individuals who were, let's see, on duty in Biloxi, Gulfport, and even with the deputy sheriff. You realize that's public knowledge. That's public information. I mean, you can't get it, willy-nilly. But those officers who signed in and signed on the rolls, public information. There's a way to find this out. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, of course, it takes cooperation from law enforcement to do that. And just like there's information and there's a role, 28 days ago, as to who was there when LaMelo was killed, there is also some roles that are there or were there 100 years ago in 1921. And once you Negroes stop crying, feeling like a victim, then you will start to learn from people like Simon Wiesenthal. You know who Simon Wiesenthal was, huh, bro?
I do.
Who was he? To test you.
He was a Holocaust survivor.
He was a Holocaust survivor. Look at you. The little fingers just going to town over there.
Well, I knew that part. I just didn't know where he was from.
He was a Nazi hunter. Nazis.
Hunted Nazis.
You've seen the movie?
I did.
Not exactly the Bear Jew.
No.
Inglourious Bastards. He was the basis for that. He really, really was. This is long after, of course, World War II. And Simon Wiesenthal, just about his entire family was wiped out. His wife survived by pretending to be a Pole. And although he was a Zionist of sorts, and you know how I feel about that, he did not go back to Israel. He came out of the war with a list of individuals he wanted. See the list. Found the list of those individuals who were holding concentration camps, and those individuals who were killing his kin. Came and brought that list to the United States government. He was liberated, actually. And there are some accounts that there were some U.S. colored troops there that was part of that liberation, to the chagrin of many of the white generals there. But that's another story. I'll share with it later. I have to tie in the military, of course, because of yesterday, Memorial Day. So Simon Wiesenthal came out of the war with revenge, bro. He wanted justice. You know, they had the Nazi trials and so forth, the Nuremberg trials. Come on, you guys, stay with me now. Don't go getting confused. I'll bring it all back, I promise you. I'm going to bring it right back home to Negro land. Because you need to hear it. I ain't going to be nobody's victim. No, not like that. Simon Wiesenthal understood that, therefore, and let me just tell you, he knew that a lot of Nazis made their way over here to the United States. All over the world, really, especially in and around Argentina and Brazil. Simon Wiesenthal put together an organization, just decided, you know what we're going to do? We're going to hunt all these Nazis down. We're going to hunt them down, bro. You got to understand, he's coming out of this thing, you know, he's an older individual. Not too old, it's 59, somewhere in there. Became known as the Jew hunter because he went and found those Jewish individuals. He found those Nazis, or the Nazi hunters, not the Jewish hunters, pardon me. He is Jewish. And he did that for one most important reason, because their saying is never again. And, you know, I'm going to give it. Simon Wiesenthal and those Jewish Holocaust victims that bail, I give them, never again. Never again. That's the lesson to learn here. You know, when I snatched down that Confederate battle flag, first time, had big goings on, and we had the Buffalo Soldiers coming. We came up with Never Again T-shirts. You still have yours? Or did they take it from you?
Did they take it from me? Of course I have it.
A lot of people didn't understand that. It was a fist balled up, and it was holding that banner, and it was Never Again under it. Guess what? I got my wish, didn't I? No, I'm sorry, it wasn't a wish. Got what I fought for. It was basically a replication of what I did when I lowered the Confederate battle flag and grabbed it in my fist and took it to the Harrison County Board of Supervisors. And so under that T-shirt was Never Again. That's what it meant. And I actually stole that from Holocaust survivors and people like Simon Wiesenthal. He hunted every one of them down. They still have the Simon Wiesenthal organization. I don't know if you realize that. They still hunt Nazis to this day. Nazis. They still looking for them, bro. The war been over since, what, 1944? The last one I knew that they hunted out was in New York. The guy was named something Demyamnyuk. I'm pronouncing his name correctly, too. Demyamnyuk. He actually took that alias, thinking that he would hide. That was not his real name. But he took Demyamnyuk as his name. Simon Wiesenthal group, man. No, they found him and kicked him out of this country. I don't know if he's dead yet. He was elderly then. He was in his 80s. Hunting them old men down. Look, go ahead and check me. I welcome it. There's a place I'm going here, folks. Once you stop crying and begging for reparations about what happened 100 years ago in Tulsa, Greenwood, then you need to start hunting the people who did it down. Oh, that list is here. Oh, not only there. Rosewood, also parts of Moss Point. Do you know at one time between 1959 and 1965, just about every black church burned along the coast? No, really, I can't make it up. It was significant. Why then, you ask? Well, just do a little study and you'll find out why. And the times that we're in right now are dangerously close. They really are. We're in a bad place again. And I'll explain that later. See, that was an attitude that was happening here, ladies and gentlemen, in, 1915. Birth of a Nation came out, that whole thing, and of course, Woodrow Wilson, right, comes in and watches the movie, comes out and says that it's a capture, it's history, is true. You realize the Ku Klux Klan was decimated, ladies and gentlemen, coming out of the Civil War and during Reconstruction. I mean, they were called seditionists. In some cases, they tried to take over whole cities in and along the eastern seaboard around Raleigh and so forth. Trust me, Richmond, trust me. And so Grant came in and put them down with an iron fist. It was like, no, Nathan Bedford Forrest disappeared. Until 1915. That's when a new symbol came along, the Burning Cross. I shared this with you. And ever since that time, the Ku Klux Klan was rejuvenated. And there were 250,000, 250,000 of them marched down Pennsylvania Avenue. There's plenty of video on this. Just go to some of the microfiche. I mean, and it was fueled on, ladies and gentlemen, because it was we were going through World War I. And there was this certain kind of being put upon. Those African Americans came off those plantations, and trust me, on this land, they knew how to do land. If they knew nothing else, they knew how to do land. They knew how to do land, and then they took that land. They knew the value of land, and give me a piece of land, I'll make a living, and they did. Boy, did they! And not just in and around Greenwood. I mean, throughout every little hamlet. There's a reason why you call Sawyer City, Sawyer City. I mean, in just about every place there was a creek, there was an African-American settlement, like the settlement there in Turkey Creek. Or Coffee Creek. There was, just here in Gulfport, ladies and gentlemen, just bear with me because I know this history. Before you had eminent domain, when you had Carlton, and when you had, where Gulfport Field is, where Bowlview is now was Carlton, ladies and gentlemen. However, before then, in and around then, you had Turkey Creek, and then you had the black folks in Coffee Creek. What they do, they would go up every creek and get away from white folks, end quotes. Particularly in and around this same time. My great-great-grandmother was one of those individuals. 4 families that settled there in Turkey Creek. I know this history. I know it well. Thanks to my cousin Derek. Coffee Creek was where North Gulfport is. Where Magnolia Grove is right now. But here's where I'm headed with that. African Americans were getting off. They came out and they built their homes, bro. Homes, cafes, juke joints, you name it. At one time, my great-great-great-uncle owned the actual laundry service that provided the laundry service for the Great Southern Hotel right there in Gulfport, before there was even a Gulfport. Industrious people. Industrious people. In other words, that's an illusion that somehow or another, was docile and trifling, they don't work, boy. You know who didn't work? Those who had slaves. Come on. Really? You think we stupid? But we don't know, and what we are stupid about is the industriousness of those black folks. And we got young folks who don't even want to embrace it. The idea, before this show is over, I'm going to give you something that you need to do. I mean that. And if you do it, you'll be the better for it. You'll be rich. But bear with me. Sam and Weekdays all had the right idea, hunting down the Nazis. I'll tell you why, because there had to be consequences. There had to be some justice. Not just reparations and made whole, because you can't be made whole once your kin been killed. Listen to me. There were U.S. colored troops killed in Greenwood. Numerous World War I veterans killed right there in that war. I don't doubt many of them ended up in a mass grave. How many they found now? What, 20, 18? Somewhere in there, stacked like dominoes is what I heard last night. That's straight up. There's got to be some consequences. I'll get to the rebuilding, but there's got to be some consequences. Those people were killed and they were run off by other people. White inferiors is who they run off by. Led by that list of both Klans members and the what's that list of the white White Society? What is it?
White Citizens Council?
White Citizens Council, yeah. There is a list. Nobody's even talking about this but Rip Daniels. They'll get to it. There's a list. There's a list of those individuals who were killed, that were a part of the attack. 17, 18 Caucasians were killed? And if you simply just go and look up the obituaries, what, you didn't think they'd have obituaries? Oh, this was a glorious thing. These folks were celebrated as heroes. Where is it? It was 21. According to one historian, 21 Caucasians were killed. They're suggesting between 60 and 300 African Americans. You can't count those people. They all look alike. I'm sure that's what they said. Oh, the newspaper's full. Well, who were there? Let me tell you, visibly absent in every one of those documentaries that I saw, visibly absent were their descendants coming forward to say, I think my granddad was there. Oh, I'm sorry, it's only one generation. I think my daddy was there. If you are 50 or 60 years old, if you are part of the baby boomers right now, you probably would have a postcard or two that shows the Tulsa South. Now, if you're Caucasian. Not one person. Not one person in the entire town. You got 10,000 people run off and are killed, and not one white boy come across and say, hey, look, I apologize for my granddaddy did. Not one. You know what that tells me? There needs to be a Simon Wiesenthal. If you think for once that Rip Daniels believes that all is well in America when not one person comes forward to say, I want justice too. I think, my family members were. Well, I got some other list. I'm going to call some names here in a few minutes. Yeah, I got names. Kidding me? That means you have deputies there. Tulsa deputies. You had, of course, later on, the National Guard showed up, but there are those who believe they showed up before. These were the ones, some of which were in the plane. Put machine guns on little single-engine planes. I mean, you realize this is early on, and the airplanes were not, that sophisticated. Not one person came forward, bro. And it's like that every time. I mean, whenever you have some commemoration of things, it could be a Martin Luther King celebration. Very few Caucasians are going to show up for that. Very few. The elected officials will show up very quickly, make a few comments, and then haul ass. But just those individuals who are saying, you know what, this is a celebration of civil rights, and I'm white, but I want civil rights as well. It's not a black thing to actually hold this country to its creed. There were Caucasians killed over civil rights. There were Caucasians killed in droves during the Civil War. What's wrong with you folk? I'll tell you what's wrong. You're still bitter. You've inherited that bygone thing. And let me tell you, Negroes, something, and you need to understand this for sure. Don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself to think that somehow or another all is well when those who are in charge are still in charge. Doesn't mean all white people by no stretch. Not even close. This really is not a white and black thing for Rip Daniels. This is about an ideology thing. That when you hear someone say they're conservatives, what they're saying is that, okay, yeah, I'm a segregationist, I'm a Klansman. Now, if any one of y'all want to take issue with that, call me. You got a standing invitation. Because I've got a long list of conservatives who stand for all of that, going back to Jeff Davis, going all the way back to Calhoun, going all the way back to Benedict Arnold, to be quite frank. Call me. We can have that debate. You give me your conservatives who don't believe what I just said, especially given where we are right now, changing of the voting and so forth. I'm going to get to all of this. I'm going to weave this right together so it'll become crystal clear. But first, we've got to get the culprits. We got to get the culprits of those individuals who decided to go in and kill folks 100 years ago. We've got some names here. There's no doubt about that. Oh, they bragged on it. Individuals who didn't make any bones about the fact that, well, you know, we gonna kill you. Let's just see. Of course, you can start with the sheriff, Sheriff Willard McCoffey, and all of his deputies. So what happened after that shot was fired? Whose side were they on, bro? Every one of those individuals, the list of those names will be provided, and of course their family members. In other words, there's a lineage. Now, what are you saying, Rip? Do you want to go out and hunt their family members down? No, but you can hold them responsible. There is no statute of limitations on murder. You can be held posthumously responsible for a murder. Now, they can't sentence you to death because you're already dead. However, even in death, you can pay your debt to society. How do you do that, Rip Daniels? Well, they had some inheritance. Huh? If they pass anything, if they bequeath any part of their wealth to anybody else, then you do understand that wealth is not off limits. You understand me? You go out, you kill a man, and you die. After being determined that you killed that man. Then you realize your estate can be sued. What's your estate? Well, it's whatever you had left. So you do realize that's what happened in the Goldman case. You remember that with O.J. Simpson? She dead. She did. Of course, she was the victim. I know what I'm talking about. It's time for African-American Simon Wiesenthal to hunt every one of these folks down. They got pictures, too.
Oh, that was a great celebration after this. That what you have not heard and what probably they won't put on national television is, what happened after it was burned down.
Let me just tell you, there was some backslapping going on there, boy. So start with the sheriff, Willard McCullough. Of course, you've got the mayor as well. Where is not Stevens. What was his name? I called him the other day.
T.D. Evans.
T.D. Evans. Yeah, there he is. Thaddeus Daniel Evans. His whole family, too. He opposed any reparations in Greenwood. But Rip, he wasn't there. Well, you can start with his family members to see who were. He was there, though. The Grand Imperial Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. Yep. This guy, boy, he was one of the sons of Confederate veterans. built a mansion designed to resemble Robert E. Lee's mansion. How about that? This guy hero. This guy here. You want to see a picture of him? Where is it? There he is. Right there. He was a nemesis to Gurley. Gurley was the African American who. He was the African American who. I want to get the first page of this. Okay. He was the African American who actually came up with the 40 acres. I want to get the name of the Ku Klux Klansman hero. It's just I had it down here and it just escaped me. I want to get his name. Is it Bradley? I'll find it. I apologize for that. Got a lot of stuff here in front of me, and I just kind of stack it all up and go through it as I can. Bradley, I think is his name. Yeah, he started the collaborating there, and it was where was it? 1901. After money was flowing in, there he is right there. Bradley, that's his name. Yes, he started building his fortune there, rich boy. And Bradley, I want to get his first name, though. See if you can find his first name, bro. He is the Imperial Wizard there. Because he was the one that actually started coordinating. Now, you've got what happened with the White Knights. Right after Rollin was accused of accosting a Caucasian. Do you know that she did not want to prosecute Rollins, and Rollins was kept in jail all that time? This is the little 18, 19-year-old boy riding the elevator with a so-called quote-unquote white woman. And so she left town, and they kept him in jail, the sheriff, to his credit. But he didn't do what he said he was going to do, and that was he had guards posted. His guards didn't shoot down any of the Caucasians who was trying to take his prisoner, but they didn't take his prisoner.
Right.
So should I give him a bell? I'll give him a click. How about that?
That works.
But here it is. Here it is. This is a better picture of him. See that guy? That is the Grand Imperial Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan there in Tulsa. And you've got the information over there, Ro, as to how they put this all together. The 2 or 3 groups, huh?
Yeah, two or three vigilante groups headed up, of course, by the Klan. They're kind of coordinated to make sure that this young African American did not leave Tulsa alive.
One of those was Wash Hudson, huh?
Yeah. After, of course, the news article that you had relayed a couple of days ago, Nab, the Negro, was publicized. It kind of drew all into Tulsa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was by the newspaper there. By the way, the newspapers also ran all the obituaries and the funerals. About this. That's how Rip Daniels was able to go back through. It's on microfiche. It's in the archives. Oh, they had big goings on for those individuals who were killed there in that onslaught that freed Tulsa. They freed Tulsa. That was their headline. And all too often when you talk about African American history, they always leave you with just, here's what happened. And it was a race ride. No. This was terrorism. This was Caucasian terrorism. Actually, it's not even Caucasian. This is white and furious terrorism. Really. Because there were some, in fact, Caucasians who, and even in Tulsa, who were against this. I'm just saying. But they weren't very favorable about it. They certainly didn't go out there with guns to stop it like the World War I African American soldiers. Rollins' lawyer, Vanderbilt trained attorney. His name was Hudson. And
excuse me, it was actually Hudson who was the leader of the Klan in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. And he was the ideal lawyer for Rollins.
Despite his father serving as Cyclops.
That's correct. Roland, I mean. Then, of course, let's see, Washington Ellis Hudson is his name. He's known around town simply as Wash. His name. But he's one of the names that you're going to hear going forward. Oh, there's plenty of names. All of those Caucasians who were killed and all of their family members and all of their homeboys and their brothers and their sisters and all of those individuals. You realize there were 2 to 3, maybe even 4,000 Caucasian terrorists there. I mean, you get to run off 10,000 people. You're looking at 35 square blocks here, bro. And then not only that, then to round all of them up. Of course, needless to say, the National Guard came along and helped in that capacity because it was all for the safety of those Negroes who were there. They were under the direction of the governor, you see. But first, we've got to deal with the enablers. First, those who murdered, and then those who enabled the murderers. Like the local newspaper editor. But there are names here, ladies and gentlemen, and these individuals need to be brought to justice, even posthumously. Because their family members are acting like, you know what? Why can't they just let sleeping dogs lie? You want to know where the body's buried? Ask the family members. They know where it's buried. And they know who killed them. And they are silent. And that is the greatest insult. That is the greatest insult to humanity. The idea that even 100 years thereafter, they're keeping the secret. They're keeping the secret. Even after their loved ones who possibly participated died. There's no beholding. There's no forgiveness. They're not even asking. There's no reconciliation here. You're asking for reparations before you get reconciliation. Well, there's got to be some reconciliation before you get it, or else you're in for a long fight. Their family members are saying it still didn't happen. Even if they see some of their ancestors on a film clip. You want reconciliation? Then there's got to be a Simon Wiesenthal to hunt down this information. And look, don't expect for someone else to do it. You can do it. We can do it. If there is an African-American lawyer or a lawyer, Caucasian lawyer of good faith, or a journalist like, what's his name, Mitchell, Jerry Mitchell. This information is very easily had, by the way. I mean, we are privy to it, so you can be privy to it. Charges got to be filed by the descendants thereof. That's the way you push this envelope. Look, ladies and gentlemen, when you come to the table to negotiate, both parties have to have something to win or to lose. If you come to the negotiating table and the party you're negotiating with has nothing to lose and you've got everything to gain, you are not negotiating, you begging. He's got to have something to lose. Then you're negotiating. I know something about that. We'll be back.
You know what's nice? You could drive to Whataburger right now if you wanted to.